Now we are going to do the belt part here of the character, just the basic forms. And we're gonna do that before we add the chain here. I think it's better that we have already something to work with there. That way we kind of know the position and how we want to place the chain on top of that belt area. So yeah, let's deal with the belt first. And the way we have the belt here is there's a layer here, and then on top of that there's this other one. All right, and then of course we have the skull, and looks like from underneath this area here we have these details going on, coming down. All right, yeah, so for this one here we could probably just do one of these and then just make copies of that. And yeah, for this one here, we're gonna do just like the basic shape of this, and then what we're probably gonna end up doing is going to have these little things as bump map details later on. But yeah, right now just basic forms. All right, now the way we're gonna do this is we could just extract out a part of our character's body there. Actually, what we're gonna do is we're gonna make a copy of our character's body, Shift D. All right, and just gonna go Shift H to isolate that copy in sculpt mode. And we have a masking there. Let's just unmask that. And going to mask out an area here that we could use. We could use it as a starting base mesh for our belt area. Right? Yep, something like that. Okay, so we want to actually invert this. Control I, and we could go to mask, slice, and fill holes. So all we have left is this here. And we can go to our remesher here. Okay, so for our remesher, what I noticed is the bigger the meshes, the higher the value that I have to put here. So I'm gonna start out with 3, and I'm gonna remesh that. Yeah, definitely mess around with that value. You don't wanna, I suggest before you remesh this, every time you remesh something, that you save your work first, because things could freeze up, and you're gonna have to, yeah, you really want to save it, because things could freeze up, and if you don't save your work, then you're gonna have to redo it, which kind of sucks, right? And right now I'm using the inflate brush to just kind of inflate the edges, and also the areas that have like the muscle structure. I'm just inflating them and trying to get rid of the definition of the muscles. And I'm gonna remesh that, Control R, and then smooth, and smooth out here, smooth it, smooth it. Right. Okay. Now I'm gonna go ahead and show everything again. And of course we have that little purple color, so I'm just gonna remove the material for now. And we wanna go back to sculpt mode. And using the inflate brush, I wanna just kind of bring this out. And I wanna bring down the intensity so it's not so much. And also gonna bring this out also And bring this out. Probably gonna end up moving the belt because it's poking out too much. Yeah, this right here needs to be, the belt needs to be laid out a little bit more on the skin, so I'm gonna have to manipulate that. Okay, just so we have something to work with for the mesh. And I keep in mind that I do have symmetry on as I'm doing this, and constantly remeshing that. I want to go back and just I'm gonna go ahead and hide this for now, and I'm gonna select the strap area, the parts for the strap here and also here. Control J to just combine those. That way if I go to sculpt mode, I'm gonna be able to just use my grab brush to kind of move it, but I have to crank up the value all the way up. Maybe that will work better if I just kind of move it. Just make sure that you're on the grab brush as you do this. There you go. Well, that could be out just a little tad bit. And maybe this one, I could kind of push this here. Oh, definitely this one is poking out too much. And kind of straighten this out. There you go. Just be careful if you combine the meshes that you don't remesh the parts, because it's going to look really strange if you do. And then I'm going to show everything. Alright. Probably could go back to my sculpt mode and just gonna bring this and pull that out. There you go. Alright, I think that's probably gonna work a little better. And back on the strap, on the belt. And could probably kind of use the flat brush to flatten that out a bit and kind of move it out. Move it out a bit. And could probably go to back to the inflate brush. Strike is a little too high, bring that down. Okay. Now for this, I could further just shape this out. There you go. Shape that out a bit. Shape this out a bit. That's too much. There you go. And then maybe this. So I'm just using the draw sharp brush to just kind of push this in. So it kind of gives me an idea of the overall shape of the belt. And yeah, definitely did not become too attached to the shape though. Alright, because most likely you're gonna change some things here and there as you move on and add more elements on top. That's just how it goes. And probably this one could do this here, remesh that. And looking at the back, could probably push this in. Probably at the back, could kind of straighten this out a bit. There you go, lift that up. Always look in all views as you are doing this. And you could use the scrape brush to sharpen things. Okay, and probably move this out. There you go. And go. And just remesh that. Okay, and of course, we're could probably sharpen this, smooth this out a bit with a scrape brush. And also this, and smooth. This and smooth. Probably gonna move this. Always look from the bottom and the top. Probably gonna move this out even more. And also this. Okay, something like that. Could always go back later and modify it if we need to. Alright, and we could go ahead and create the other element that's going to be on top of this element. Alright, so using the mask brush, you just actually what we can do is we could just make a copy of this. Shift D to make a copy of that. And then we could, yeah, now we could go use the, if we go to sculpt mode, we could just gonna bring out the shape that we need. That's gonna be another layer, of course. So we could kind of see what we need to have here. Just some basic forms. So using the clay strip brush to just bring out the mesh that was underneath. The mesh that we have a copy here, alright? Just bringing it out. Something like this. And probably we could remesh this at a lower value so we have a little bit more to work with. Remesh. And I could use the inflate brush to just kind of push this in the areas that I don't really want to show. I'm holding control as I use my inflate brush, so that will allow me to push in the clay. Alright, because I really don't want that to show. Alright, and I'm gonna go to my regular draw sharp, and you can hold control for your draw sharp and that will allow you to bring out the clay. And if you don't hold control, you could just push in the clay also. So I go back and forth between doing that. Holding control, bring out the clay. And then push in the clay. And also here. And then I'm gonna remesh that and gonna smooth. Great. Smooth a bit and smooth a bit. Now, yeah, everything right here, just maybe you could kind of push this in a little bit right there. And then I could kind of think about where I'm going to lay out the somewhat of a belt area. I know probably around here is where the belt is going to be. Yeah, around this area. So maybe I could first, I think I want to bulk this up a bit even more, just gonna make it pop out a bit. So I'm gonna use my inflate brush to just kind of bring it out a bit more, just a little bit more, yeah, something like that. And push this in and push this. Don't want this to show. Okay, so we got something to work with. Now we want to have like some kind of strap around here, like a belt thing going on, belt design. And we're gonna have like a little strip there, but yeah, something like that would be good, like some kind of design so it's not plain. So okay, go ahead and probably mask this out and maybe mask this out and also this here. Yep. And maybe it's gonna kind of cut off right there. Actually, let's make it kind of go all around. It's fine. I think we could just kind of smooth that out. Yeah, just gotta smooth that out. And then invert. And mask this again. I'm gonna mask this here. Then I use my grab brush. We're just gonna bring this out and yeah, something like that, and unmask. So I got a little bit of design there, and I'm gonna go to the remesher. And then I'm just gonna set this to 1 and just remesh this. So there's a little bit more to work with, of course. And I'm just gonna use a scrape brush to flatten things out. There you go. So we have like a little something there going. And there you go. Just gonna have this design. And then there's gonna be like some kind of design here also. Something like that. And then I guess the belt is gonna kind of come together like this. Probably could mask this area out. Control I to invert that. Mask out this. And then using my grab brush, I'm just gonna move this. So there's a little bit of variety of shape here. Alright. Okay. Unmask. And then do the same thing with this. probably invert it. And then make sure this is not being touched right here. So when we use the grab brush, everything will be fine. So I'm gonna move this out. Right there. Maybe it could be like a little bit sharp like this. Yeah, that'll be better because we're trying to not to make this round. And probably could do the same with this. Remember, if you're trying to do a character that's a little bit bold, we trying to keep things sharp, right? And same thing with this here. Just gonna mask this area out for the belt part. Okay, and invert it. There you go. Use the grab brush and you're just gonna bring this out. Just taking off the basic shape with the belt area and just gonna sharpen this out. Alright, so you kinda have a little bit of design of how it's gonna look like later. Maybe could be moved forward. To push that in. Yeah, maybe something like that. And of course, I want to be able to just kind of push this back. So with the inflate brush and this draw sharp brush, push this in. There you go. So we kind of see what the design will be, you know. And of course, we have to create something here, which is going to be the skull area, right? So for that one, what we can do is probably mask this out, mask this area out. So we got like a shape that we can work with. Mask, extract, turn off extract solid. So we got this here. Hit the tab key and press A to select everything. And you probably scale that up. Alright, something like that. And go to sculpt mode. I'll go move this in this direction. Maybe kind of smooth it. Smooth out. So we want to have like a base for the actual skull. Alright. Want a base there. So before we start to do the actual skull, we want to make sure that there's actually some kind of metal behind it. Again, I'm going to go to object mode, hit the tab key, and we could go Alt E and extrude along normals. And maybe not so big, maybe like that. Maybe like this. Yeah, and then scale it down maybe. Alright. And on the sculpt mode, and then probably could kind of move this. Right. Then we could like remesh this. Where's the remesher? Okay, for this one maybe we could set it to 2 and then remesh that. Uh-oh, it just disappeared. Yeah, as I mentioned before, it's best to just save it first before, save it before you remesh it, because, you know, if you mess up and then it freezes up, then you're gonna have to redo things over. Always, it's a good idea to save your work every 10 to 15 minutes anyways. I can set it to maybe 0.08, remesh that. Okay, that's too low poly, so maybe I could set it to 0.02. Let's try that out and remesh that. Maybe 0.01. Alright, I think that will do. It doesn't really fully melt it, just enough, just so we could smooth it. Alright, and could probably make this smooth this out the edge, and then remesh that. Gonna move it. You go. Maybe like that. And probably good. Gonna flatten this out a bit. This here, and maybe flatten this out a bit right here. There you go. Just so we got a little something there. And what probably you could do is to just kind of spice this up a bit. Maybe could select mask this out, Control I, and let's go to face, mask, slice, and fill holes. Actually I want to do the other way around. Mask, slice, fill holes. There you go. Just gonna get rid of that. And there you go. So we got like a different kind of shape there going. We could also just go ahead and maybe make it look like it's a little beveled, and using the clay strip brush and smooth, and also the straight brush to add a little bit of beveled look there. There you go. And we're gonna be adding the skull there. I could kind of just smooth this out and smooth this out so it's not so thick. Now what we could also do, go to object mode. I'm gonna go to scale, and I'm gonna move the scale to the geometry and flatten it a bit so it's not so thick. Something like that. And probably, so it looks like there's a little bit of detail here. And I saw that message about non-uniform scale, so I'm just gonna go to apply, alt transform. Okay, good. Sculpt mode, and draw sharp. So for this, maybe I could add a little design like that and design like this. Great. And we could even go to object mode, and yeah, I'm gonna go set it back to the geometry. Further flatten this out, and we could make a copy of that. Shift D to make a copy, and then push it back, and then scale it up so it looks like there's some kind of layering going on, which is gonna give it a nice effect there. And maybe to even spice this up a bit, we could maybe select, I'm gonna select this here and go to sculpt mode. Probably could, what we can do is mask this area out, okay, and go to mask, max extract, press OK. Oh, looks like there's a double there. I'm gonna delete that. Go back here, sculpt mode. I'm gonna unmask everything and make sure that I only have this area masked. I wanna create like something sharp around here. Okay, and I'm gonna go to mask extract, hit the tab key. Probably before we do that, we could gotta smooth things out. Go to object mode. Gonna move it. Hold on. Object mode. Try again. And move it forward. Okay, go to object mode. Hit the tab key. Press A. And going to extrude along normals. Okay, maybe after that, probably scale it something like this. But go to sculpt mode, and we have to remesh this. Okay, right now it's voxel size 1. If I remesh that, it disappears. I'm gonna undo that. Usually if it disappears, that means there's just not enough geometry, so it just disappears. So you just bring the resolution, the voxel size down so we have more geometry to work with, and remesh that. And you can see it's a little too low poly, so actually I want a little bit more, 0.009, and remesh that. And smooth. Maybe smooth out the edges even more. Maybe I could, okay, using the inflate brush to just thicken this up, and then remeshed and smooth, and thicken this up. There you go, and remesh. Kind of move a little bit here. So we got something sharp going on, but I think it's not sharp enough. But it's okay. We could go back and sharpen this up even further. Here you go. Here. Okay, something like this. Good. Probably make this, looking at it from far away, maybe you could make this a little bit wider. There you go. And let's see, we could select these. What we could do is delete what we have here. So I'm going to delete the faces here on this side, so we only have one to work with for now. And I'm going to duplicate that, Shift D to make a copy of that. And just gonna move it back. And also this one has to be moved back a bit. So I'm gonna go and move it kind of back. There you go. And then just gonna move it back here. This one probably like that. And I could kind of rotate and then make a copy and rotate a bit. And maybe we could scale this down a bit, and then also this, scale it down a bit. Then I'm gonna make a copy of this and rotate it so we have something there, and then move it back. Okay, and then we could mirror that on the other side. The move tool's already in the middle, so I think when we mirror it should be fine. So I'm gonna go to mirror. There you go. Alright, so we got a little something there, and I could go select this. I see something about non-uniform scale again, but I think it's not giving us an issue at the moment, so that's fine. Go move this here forward a little bit, and also this one I could kind of move it forward just a tad bit. Alright, great. So I like how we have the little layering going on, which is perfect. Probably for this, I'm gonna move it a little bit forward. It's a little flat. Alright, we're gonna be adding our skull part here. Alright, we are gonna do that in the next video.